You can't tell me what your business is worth. You can tell me what you're asking, but that'll tell me whether I could trust you, if you're transparent, and if you're going to work on our timeline, which is the buyer's timeline. I think tariffs are great. I think they're great because it's changing the world. It's changing the way we do business around the world. It's making businessmen, especially in businesses, change their cultures to do the right thing. It's just not all about profit. Yeah, my investments are down, but what the hell am I worried about? Okay, I'm old. I'm 71 years old. I've been through this for 50 years, overthinking shit. But the bottom line, it's all going to happen. It's going to change things. It's a young person's future. It's not our future. It's not Trump's future. It's his grandchildren and my grandchildren and so on. So let's do the right thing. I got a couple stories. I've dealt with entrepreneurs all my life. I've worked for them, and I've become one. I've trained them, and I've passed it on. In the last 25 years of my 50-year career, I've been advising and actually counseling therapeutically, even though I'm not a licensed therapist. I'm an experienced businessman. I know how to read a P&L. I know how to read the culture of the business just by walking through it and seeing the culture, the way it was taken care of. So I want to give you a story about, let's just name him Dick. It was a deal where Dick was in the 70s. And Dick was looking at not a succession plan, even though he had daughters and one working in the business. He just didn't feel like they were competent. And he didn't like their spouses. I think there was a little vengeance there about saying, hey, he's the king, he's the dad, I'll take care of it. He called me over 2 years, and he trusted my father. He knew my father, and he says, you know, Rock, I want you to sell my business the way you sold your family business. You were successful at a succession plan, and you eventually sold your business. I want you to facilitate the sale of my business. So I'd ask him about his family, about is there any talent on staff that might be interested in buying the business. The business wasn't that big. It was a label business. It was in the Midwest. He said he had intellectual property. I found out that it all expired. I was really focused on the sale and the commission, what it would pay, and it would also help my credibility. And I usually facilitate for the buyer. That's one thing that I have to mention is my deals are very quiet, what we call off-market. I basically specialize in deals that aren't known unless they're really targeted and introduced by me very quietly. Employees aren't aware, suppliers aren't aware. During the 2-year negotiation, I finally got a contract. And during the contract, I was ready to go because I was in position. I knew the business. I knew the potential buyers. And I had to do all the due diligence for him because he wasn't sophisticated. He thought it was selling a roll of labels. This is how unsophisticated many of these entrepreneurs are. They spent 30, 40 years living on luck. Why do I say luck? Because over the years of my career, the good guys, the baby boomers, the golden generation, were so humble and so modest. I would ask them, what made you so successful? And they said, Rock, it was luck. No, it's not luck. As they say, you create your own luck. I respected these people because they were humble and they were modest and they were ready. They knew when it was time to leave, to exit for succession or to sell it or whatever it was. They've done what they needed to do. And being an entrepreneur is a big, big sacrifice. There's very few people that have had a successful business and a successful family life. Believe me, I specialize in family businesses. I'm one of 11, and my parents, and we were successful, but it took a lot of work and a lot of faith. Thank God I had a father that was ready to go. So timing is very critical. And once, after 50 years, I'm starting to realize that there's 3 critical points of selling a business for a potential seller. You have to trust the seller. You have to trust them. You have to trust that they know what the hell they're doing. And after a while, I'm realizing most of them don't. And they're not willing to invest in the sale of what we call a sell team. You have to have a professional team to sell your business. It's legal. It's regulated to sell a business. You got to get lawyers. You get tax advisors. You got real estate. You got insurance. You got a succession plan. You have to talk to the buyer about succession and what the talent is and the human relations and sales and who's hand. The due diligence is to me, it's a 2-year process. You need to call Rock Lamanna and my team 2 years ahead of time. Or you have to hire me and my team to position your company for 2 years. A lot of these men entrepreneurs are in their 70s. It's over, bro. It's over. The greed? No. Your children? They might not want the business. Like in my family, I got 10 brothers and sisters. I was the only one that was interested in the business. The others were not. I paid the price through my family. Okay? Through divorce. It's not easy to run a business and get divorced at the same time and buy businesses and raise 3 kids as a single parent. I've been through all this shit. So when I talk to these guys, especially today, going back to Dick had no good culture. The people didn't say hello to him as we walked through. He was a union shop, which is a no-no in printing. We couldn't even sell it because of the non-transparency and the non-trust. It was a disaster. And I paid the price for it. But guess what? I was responsible. I made the decision to take him on to learn. Do I regret it? No. I was responsible. Will I return to that situation? Never. I had something very similar this past year. Do I want to take this on? And you know what I thought about? I thought about Dick. And I said, no, man, this guy reminds me of Dick. He's not trustworthy. He's not transparent. And he's not working on the timeline with the buyer. The timeline is about the buyer, not the seller. That's what people don't realize. A seller in an acquisition is distressed. They're emotionally messed up. They can't make a decision. This is why you have to make a decision, just like estate planning. You make it when you're calm. You make it when you're situated. You're very strategic, and you time it. The buyer needs to trust the seller. The buyer needs to understand that there's true transparency. We're going to go through the due diligence, which takes 3 to 6 months. Easy. And you still don't get a yes or a no. You might have signed the LOI, the letter of intent. Doesn't mean you're going to close. Doesn't mean that the seller's in control. It's over, man. And the timeline, it's up to the buyer. That's what people don't understand. If you want to make it smooth, you have to do all the preparation and do it right. I'm giving you an example that Dick did it all wrong. You don't want to hear what happened? Dick died in the process. Fucked it all up. Still got the union, still got problems. One of the daughters that he hated inherited the business, and the other daughters and the spouses are all dead ducks. I can predict what's going to happen to that business. I've seen it. And the culture hasn't changed. Guess what happens? They lose all their top talent. Because that's what's going on now. Private equity is the new trend, and they need people. They don't need equipment. They don't need facilities. These are all tucked in. They call it a bolt-on or a tucked in. They need sales, and it is so competitive now. There might be 3,000 label packaging companies in the United States. 3,000. And I'd say 90% are family business. And they all think they're going to get rich from private equity. No. Only about 5%, 3 to 5% are even worthy to be sold to private equity. And there's 20,000 private equity groups out there looking for big companies. I could tell you the multiples, I could tell you the EBITDAs, I could tell you the whole thing. But guess what? It all starts with the sale. Is it prepared? Is it a good company? And now with these tariffs, they're shitting bricks, man. And I'll tell you something else. During COVID, I learned something else. And it's happening now during this tariffs. Because these guys are unhealthy. They have addictions. They're old. And you know what? Bottom line is they haven't kept up to the times. So there's 3 things that they think about as they're wallowing in their losses, expected losses, and their net worth maybe 40%, 60% less than it was last year. And they blame Trump. Okay? No. They don't have the staying power because they don't have discipline. They don't have patience. And the other thing is they're greedy. I've talked to people who say, hey, my company did $13 million. I have to ask, what year was that? Oh, about 4 years ago. Yeah. Where are you now? Well, about 6. We lost 2 or 3 major customers. No shit, bro. And now you want to sell? There's more than one Dick out there, by the way. There's more than one Dick. It's going to be rough, man. They're going to end up liquidating. They're going to fail. And the parents or the kids are going to feel betrayed. And you know what? That's one thing I give my parents. They gave us 3 things. They gave us an education, both formal and informal. Number 2, they taught us how to work hard. One of 11 kids. Not entitled. And number 3, perseverance, resilience. It's like Vietnam. The new Vietnam. That's why I'm so high on Vietnam. That's about family business. That's about generations. That's about respect. That's about growth. And you know what? They're not greedy. Here in the United States, we're greedy. You know? And so at the end of the day, you have to really look at where you sit. And this message is really for family businesses, entrepreneurs, and people that are thinking to sell their business. I'm also looking at the employees. I want to give you some tips. If you're working for a guy like Dick, make sure you pick the right horse the next time around, because you're going to be betrayed. You're going to be screwed. And as I mentioned, during COVID, what I learned were 3 things that entrepreneurs, especially patriarchs, the men, okay, they had three things in mind. Number one, think for themselves. Oh my God, I got to sell. Oh, PPP came around? Guess what most of them did? They kept the money. They didn't use it for the right reasons. It didn't work. Biden, it didn't work. They waived it eventually. Call it entitlement. Number two, the family comes number two. That's who they're thinking about. And if they're in the business or outside the business, they're going to make sure that they preserve their wealth and secure it, because it's going to end somehow, some way. And number three, like Warren Buffett would say, number three, they revert to number one, which they take care of themselves. That's right. I've seen it. You know how many people that I've dealt with, and I'm saying hundreds of deals in my 50 years. Some small, some big, some liquidations, some real estate. Most of the time in printing, the real estate commercially is worth more than the printing company, the actual business. You don't need a business broker. You don't need that. I've sold 2 businesses myself. Why? Because I knew the game. I was taught how to do it. I was in my 30s, late 30s. After building the business, I had to buy it. I had to go out and get my own funding. Then I had to work for somebody at the same time because they had the money. Eventually, I turned it around where I said, you know what? Enough is enough. I'm going to start my own business. But guess what? I was in my 30s. I'm in my 70s now. I'm not going to start all over again. There's no need for me to do it. So I want to help the young people. And the young people are, to me, is Vietnam. I was exposed in the 80s with Japan, the emerging of Japan. I was involved with Mexico. I was involved with the Mexican joint ventures with 3M. I was involved with Germany. I was in France, Spain. I was global in my 30s and 40s. That's right. Now I'm doing my research, and I'm going to where the action is. The average age of Vietnamese, average, is 32. Wow. 32. And what? 1 million? 100 million people? Okay. Now, are they going to come here for tariffs? I don't think so. You know why? They're family. The family's more important. Supply chain, they got the supply chain. Us U.S., we're buying all this shit. We're outsourcing it and so on. That's why China's huge. That's why Mexico's huge. That's why we're talking about all these tariffs, because we outsource for, 50 years now? All the big companies? You just don't turn that wheel around. There'll be negotiations. It's all going to benefit. And I think there's going to be a lot of incentives. A lot of incentives to build a plant in the United States and bring the right people, the intelligence people into the United States and run these. Because that's the other thing that we lack. We lack manufacturing production people. So don't forget, your culture is important. If you don't treat people right, you know how many candidates are available to leave their present company right now? Especially family businesses that didn't do what they said they were going to do. They did not keep their promises. Or the family succeeds the father. They make changes because there's no loyalty. Loyalty? Come on. Private equity? Zero loyalty. They don't realize the company they're buying. And that's what I'm here for. I'm a gatekeeper. I will not take on a seller or recommend a seller to a buyer that I'm successful with in transactions. No way. And my strategic buyers in the billions. They're in the billions, and they buy and they hold. You know the buyers? I'm dealing with people in their 40s, with educated, very sophisticated. They laugh at me. I'm definitely the oldest guy in the room. I will say, I am not the smartest. But I will admit I'm the most experienced. So I get respect. Because they know I'm going to do all the right things. No shortcuts, no cheating. You can trust Rock. Rock's transparent. And Rock's going to finish and get to the end zone. And if seller, I'm going to hold their hand, say don't fuck it up. Because a lot of them will. Just like Dick. I want to stay focused on Vietnam, but it's hard. Because I've been in the printing label industry for 50 years, servicing the industry. As an employee, employer, consultant, owner, seller, author, writing, columns, expertise, social media. That's right. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm embarrassed, half these people, because I thought they were smart. I won't say it, but I want to thank my parents for the gift, and God for my gift of experience, intelligence, health, energy. I feel like I'm Trump. We all know Trump's got a lot of energy. And my dad used to say to me 20 years ago, Rock, you need this like you need a hole in the head. Trump's the same way. You think Trump needs this shit? Nah. And I don't need this either. But I could at least call my own shot. I don't have to deal with Congress and Senates and DEI and non-competes and intake. There's too many dicks out there. We all know that. You might be working for a dick right now. And you're wondering, what's my next step? How am I going to take care of my family? I'm 40, 50 years old, and I still don't have a purpose, or I'm going to get let go? With no notice, no severance? Yeah. Expect it. What happened to the feds? They got a little severance pay. What's going to happen to USPS? Come on. Doge. Musk has done his job. You know what owners should be doing? They should be doing the Doge strategy. Cut out the fat. And get realistic about your business. If you don't want to do it all over again, sell it. It's time. These cultures and the way they bully people, oh my God. And you're going to try to bully me? Pfft. I was raised by an Italian dude, entrepreneur, that told us exactly when to leave the house, when to get married, when to buy a duplex, how to invest your money. Yeah, I learned all that. I didn't need Warren Buffett. I had my father and my mother, and we lived accordingly. At the end of the day, if my dad's pushing 100, he's my role model when it comes down to health is wealth. I don't care what his net worth is. That's the other thing. You know how many dicks have told me, hey, Rock, you know what my net worth is? Before we even started talking about the business. As if they're going to impress me. No, I'm not impressed. Once I meet a guy named Dick, it's usually, I could tell you what the end's going to be. And I slowly bring him down by saying, you know what, no thank you. But I recommend that you hire somebody with talent if you don't have somebody on the inside. So listen up, man. You know how many PE firms contact me? They know me as the deal flow guy. You got to be very strategic. You got to basically earn my trust. It takes years to earn my trust. just like my real sellers that did the right thing. By the way, my sellers have always thought about their employees. There's 3 that I could name off right now. My father, a label company in Florida, and manufacturing of automotive graphics in Detroit and outside the United States. They all left their employees with some type of a bonus to say thank you for their loyalty, their effort, and so on. Very few people do that. Very few. I get a little testy because I get pissed off about this shit. Because it agreed. And then they try to bully me. I can see right through it, man. I see right through it. And I feel for the people that have worked 30, 40 years. There's no loyalty. What's really funny is when they say to sell the PE and they hold on and still try to run it. And they're 80 years old. I'm like, what a joke. The turnover is tremendous. PE didn't know what they got into because of luck. Luck and oppression. That's what I saw in successful, or I wouldn't say successful. I would say merger and acquisition roll-ups don't take a lot of talent. It takes money. It takes money. But here's the problem, like my son would say. Dad, the problem's not buying a business. The challenge is growing it. And that's what people see. I am not going to represent a company that's not going to be successful at growing it because it's my reputation, no matter what. I don't care if I got 50 years. It's not a sale to me. It's my legacy. I've been there, done that. You can't tell me what your business is worth. You can tell me what you're asking, but that'll tell me whether I could trust you, if you're transparent, and if you're going to work on our timeline, which is the buyer's timeline. I always end with one of my mantras from one of my mentors. Rock, always bring joy. That's what I'm trying to do. Always, always bring joy and keep your promises. I'll talk to you soon.